Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas visiting with Tisa Strasser, author of Love Never Fails, novel based on truth. Tisa, I've known you for so many years, and we won't say how many, but we've been through a lot of stages together. We were, kind of like young marrieds at the same time, had our, first children right around the same time. Your story behind the story is compelling and gripping and tragic in many ways and overcoming and joyful in many ways, all at once. Mm-hmm. And without putting you too on the spot, I'm wondering if you would share a bit of your story behind the story.
Okay. My story behind the story started on March 7th, 1985. My husband, I was a young mother of two. I had a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and I was a stay-at-home mom. Both my husband and I were very committed to that. We wanted me to be at home with them. And it was tough. He was an insurance agent and a investment person, and we lived on commission, and that was a roller coaster. That was kind of crazy.
But fortunately, he was good at it.
Yes,
so there was some commission to live on.
Yes. He was very good at it. Mm-hmm. But he was just starting a business, and it takes a while to establish yourself. So anyhow, this one particular Thursday, he was on his way home from work, and another fellow he was heading south on Market Avenue, and another fellow was coming north on Market Avenue, an elderly man. And we don't know if he had a heart attack or a stroke or whatever, but he went left of center and hit Mike's car, and both men were killed in the accident. So that day I found myself a widow at age 27 mm-hmm. with 2 little children. And I can honestly say, Susie, that over the next couple years, I fell so much more in love with God because he proved himself to be so faithful.
Yeah.
It was almost like, okay, his number's up, his number of days are up, and this has to happen. So what can I possibly do to make this as easy on Tisa as possible? He had so many wonderful, loving people there for me. My family, my church, my community all reached out to me in such amazing ways. And he just proved himself time and time again. There was no way I could be angry. I was just overcome by the pain was hard. The pain was just, I miss him to this day. I miss him every day. Mm-hmm. It was awful. But it was impossible to not look past that to the amazing things going on around me. Yeah. And how much God held me. That whole footprints thing is just so real to me mm-hmm. because he truly carried me.
Carried you through it. Your children have grown to be amazing adults.
I agree.
Yeah, good job, Mom. But I can't imagine, how do you go to a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old and tell them Daddy's in heaven?
Yeah, it was not easy, and they really didn't grasp it, and each of the children dealt with it differently in their own time, in their own way, and I was very thankful for the folks around me that could help them through it. And, everyone to this day, they still run into people that tell them daddy stories. Oh, I knew your dad, and we did this together.
Sure.
And this was it. And I'll never forget this part about him. And we're just so thankful there were good memories, so many good memories.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that people think, first of all, is, okay, this young woman has been trying to be a stay-at-home mom, and she's got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, so neither's in school yet.
Yes.
Financially, how in the world, if there was one thing that Mike would have wanted, it would be to know that you were taken care of.
Yes.
You have an amazing story there.
Yeah, I do. After the initial announcement at the hospital and my reaction and all of that, the first thing I did was I asked to be alone for a couple minutes, and I got on my knees, and I said, Lord, your word says that you will never leave me or forsake me, but I feel pretty left and I feel pretty forsaken, and I know without a doubt that I cannot do this by myself. I need to know you're there. I need to know that you're still taking care of me. Would you please show me somehow? And that night we went back to my mom's. My whole family came there, and we all went to bed, and none of us slept. And I just laid there, and I remembered that Mike had told me that he was had come to believe that you shouldn't have all your insurance with one company, that all your eggs in one basket.
And he was an insurance salesman.
Right. He said, I think it's wise, honey, if I just have half of my life insurance with one company and half with another, because 50 or 60 years from now when we're gone, we want to make sure who knows the condition of that company in the future, and I want it to be with a company that's going to fulfill the commitment and all of that. And I just whatever you say, honey, sure. And so I'm laying in bed that night after the accident, and I realize, oh my gosh, what if he canceled the policy and didn't have time to write the two smaller policies with two different companies?
That would keep you awake.
And I thought, what if he didn't have insurance?
Yes.
I was going to have to sell the house. I was going to have to move in with my folks. I was going to, how would I support my kids?
Yes.
The only vehicle we had was destroyed in the accident. What was I going to do? And so first thing in the morning, I called the office, and his business partner was there. And I said, I know he was messing with his policies. Please tell me he had coverage. And what we pieced together was absolutely miraculous. I mean, this is how faithful God was to me. What happened on that Thursday was that sometime during the day, Mike wrote a new policy for half the amount of what he wanted me to have as coverage with the new good company. And he, after work, he got in his car and he drove to the Cleveland Avenue post office and mailed it with the payment. Then he got on Market Avenue and went south and had the accident.
Like 4 minutes later.
Yeah. It was but the law in Ohio, at least at that time, was that if the payment is with it and the application is signed and in the mailbox, you are covered. And the company honored it.
So you had not just none, but you had 1.5 coverage.
Yes,
because he hadn't canceled.
No, he hadn't canceled the original policy. So
wow.
When his business partner told me that over the phone the next morning, it was clear to me that God was saying, I'm still taking care of you.
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm here. You're not going to go through this alone. And, the financial stress earlier was tough, with the living on commission thing. You never know what that check was going to say when you open it, So I was not going to have to deal with the financial stress too. I didn't have to sell my house. I didn't have to move in with my folks. I was able to continue to stay at home. I was able to replace the car and support my kids.
Yeah.
And that was awesome.
Yeah. And God, never leaving any little detail, provided a wonderful husband as well.
Yes, he did. That night on Market Avenue was really busy. There was another young man who was worked in Hercules Engines, South Cleveland, Market Avenue, and he was coming north on Market, and he happened to follow the elderly man who went left of center and created the accident. His name is Craig Strasser, and he eventually became my husband.
He was there at the scene.
Yes. He saw the car seats in the back. He laid his hands on the back of the car and said, God, if you want to raise this man from the dead, I'll pray. And it
without realizing who it was.
No, he didn't even know he knew him.
Right. No, but they both went to the same church.
Right.
Yes.
They had met a couple times. I had never met him because we went to different services and different, were involved in different ministries within the church.
But he saw car seats and realized this is something.
The two children just lost their father.
Yes.
And so he prayed and asked God that and felt like he wasn't supposed to do any more. And so he went to small group that night. It was Thursday night was our church's small group night, and I had called our prayer chain, our church's prayer chain, and she had called all the small group locations and told them what was going on. Pray for Mike Skipper. He's been in a bad accident. They did not tell me he was DOA. They told me he was critical, which is what they have to do, I guess. anyhow, so when he gets to small group, he put the connection together and realized that he had seen the accident, that this fellow from his church had passed away. And
how remarkable is it, though, then, that God raises him up, Craig Strasser, to raise those two children.
As his own
children,
Yeah.
and has done a magnificent job.
Yeah.
That he
and
was
then
praying.
we had 2 more children
Yes.
that are equally amazing.
Yes,
and
they
the
are.
4 of them love each other. They're
Yes.
siblings. They're, God just meshed them together.
Yes.
It's I really don't like the term blended family, but that's what we are. And God blended really well.
Some things will never make sense on this side of eternity.
No.
That's one of them, Tisa. That
Yeah.
will never make sense to me ever.
No.
But when we get on the other side, it's all going to be totally crystal clear. In the meantime, just to see the blessing that Craig has been to you and to your entire family. And what a great mom you are.
Thank you.
Let me just say. So...
And I'm a grandma now, too.
And a wonderful grandmother.
5 grandchildren.
Oh, my goodness. You're way ahead of me. I didn't realize you had that many.
Yes.
But isn't it just amazing to see what God does when we let him take charge and steer us in the way he wants us to go? How can people get Love Never Fails, a novel based on truth? How can we get it?
Okay. You can get it on Amazon. It's ebook and hard copy. If you want to save a few dollars, you can go to the Facebook page, Love Never Fails, and be sure to include the subtitle, A Novel Based on Truth, or you'll get some weird stuff.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
You can also go to my website. I launched
Awesome.
a new website.
Oh, tell us. All right.
It is tisakstrasser.com. TESA, the letter K, STRASSER, tisakstrasser.com, and you can purchase it there also.
Perfect. And if you'd like to meet Tisa, she's going to be at Beyond the Walk tomorrow at Walsh University.
Yes.
Things kick off right around 9 o'clock is registration. I think the activities after walking around the path will take place between 10:30, 12:30, round in there. And if you'd like to pick up a copy of the book, Tisa will be there. I'm sure she'll even sign it for you, and you get to meet this remarkable, I'm going to say young woman.
Thank you.
God bless you. Tisa, thank you so much for what you do and all you bring to our community.
Thank you.